You're watching Reality Check. P. Chidambaram sent to the custody of the CBI. His lawyers, a battery of Congress heavyweights, put up a big fight, but it didn't work in the end. Now the CBI will get a chance to further question him on allegations that his son received payments, kickbacks, the CBI says, in exchange for Mr. Chidambaram granting illegal clearances to the firm INX of Indrani and Peter Mukherjee. Now, NDTV has accessed further documents, more of a paper trail. This is essentially a letter written by the Enforcement Directorate to the CBI, which kicked off the CBI investigation, which contains details, further details of how the top brass of NewsX admits to payments being made to Karti Chidambaram linked companies in exchange for quote-unquote advice on foreign clearances. And suddenly, according to this paper trail and according to the CBI's allegations, those problems for INX were immediately cleared. So the INX top brass have admitted to payments to a Karti-linked firm. The payments were made to clear foreign investment or FIPB illegalities or irregularities which INX had been found guilty of. The INX brass in these exchanges admit that they consulted with this Karti Chidambaram firm for foreign investment clearances. This set of documents contains emails between the Karti firms and INX discussing these payments. A check to a Karti-linked firm has been signed by Indrani Mukherjee. The CBI says a total of 3 crores of such payments have been made by INX and its related companies to Karti's companies directly or indirectly. Now, the kickbacks for clearances allegation, this, according to these documents, suggests how it works. So, Chess Management is a company of which Karti Chidambaram is a director. This is the company that's providing consultancy on foreign investment to INX. Karti Chidambaram, as we said, is the director of this. But the payments were made to another company. Chess said, don't pay us, pay a company called Advantage Consulting. Karti Chidambaram is an indirect owner of this. So the CBI says the attempt was made to try and suggest that they're not paying Karti directly but indirectly, but his footprint is all over this. They also point to a timeline to show that there was a direct correlation, that in July 15th of 2008, INX makes a payment to a Karti-linked firm. And on November 11th, 2008, the foreign investment clearance for INX was granted. And just to remind our viewers, Chidambaram was finance minister from 22nd May 2004 to 30th November 2008. So that is the kind of evidence the investigative agencies claim they have on Mr. Chidambaram. But so let me just go across first to Aarti Jairat, who's joining us. Aarti Jairat, there are 2 parts to this whole story. One is, of course, the manner in which Mr. Chidambaram was arrested, whether there was any need to arrest him, and so on and so forth. And that's what his lawyers have been fighting it out in court and will continue to fight it out. And there's certainly several questions that raises. But this growing mass of evidence about the quid pro quo aspect of it, at the end of the day, isn't that going to be both legally and politically damaging for Mr. Chidambaram and the Congress?
Well, you know, it all has to be proved. Right now, these are CBI claims.
Yes,
these are letters, which have been given to the CBI by 2 people who are in jail because they are accused of murder.
That's right.
So, ultimately it has to go to court and the court will decide on the validity of this. And I think also you need to establish a money trail. I mean, there's a claim that payments were made, but has the CBI actually been able to find that money trail that went into that so-called account?
Actually, the balance sheets of these companies, because we looked at them ourselves, do suggest that INX and INX linked companies were making payment to Karti and Karti linked companies. So that's just there in the public record.
Well, listen, if all this is proved in court, it is certainly very damaging to Chidambaram. And it is very damaging to the Congress because he was the finance minister in a UPA government, and the entire Congress top brass from Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi onwards, everybody's come out and defended him.
That's right.
So,
they've taken this big political gamble.
Absolutely. So, if this case actually gets proved, yes, it's a huge blow to Chidambaram personally and to the Congress party, no question about it.
Right. Sanjay Jha joining us of the Congress. How would you respond to that, Sanjay? Because staying at the moment, not so much on the terms and the manner in which Mr. Chidambaram has been arrested, but this growing trove of quote-unquote evidence showing these payments made to Karti and Karti-linked firms to provide consultancy, to provide advice on how to get foreign investment clearances when his father was finance minister. This is a bad look, is it not? I mean, leave aside the fact that this might suggest corruption, this might suggest criminality, but just on the sheer optics of it, isn't this a direct conflict of interest?
Vasu, first I need to clarify that I'm here as an independent political analyst and not formally as a Congress spokesperson.
Okay,
we are not officially on any TV channel.
Okay,
the point I wish
to
make at the very outset is
right.
that this is an act of political. This is an act of political reprisal. This is what you would call as a state-sponsored retribution against a political adversary.
Right.
And the reasons for that are very straightforward. Those documents that you are now showing on your channel, those documents have all been at various stages been responded to by Mr. Chidambaram. I think Mr. Chidambaram has said so today very categorically in the court that if they go through the Q&A of the conversations that happened when the CBI kind of summoned him in June of last year, they addressed all the fundamental points that are being talked about today.
Right.
So we have, as a spokesperson of the party, I remember debating it on various TV channels, maybe including yours. And I can tell you this, this is a hugely, fabricated, fictitious case, because the bottom line is, and this is the point that I think Mr. Singhvi and Mr. Sibal have repeatedly reiterated, which is that this is not a solitary decision. There were eminent people involved. The Foreign Investment Promotion Board has always been the key vehicle body until Modi's government removed it for channelizing a FDI into India. To say that Mr. Chidambaram was taking a decision, sitting in his chamber, in some kind of a, whimsical fashion for self-aggrandizement, but then the BJP or the CBI needs to establish that. The point is, this is political vendetta. It's a police state. I want to make one point where, Vasu, I want to make one point.
Let me come back to you. The point is made.
Yesterday, the optics, the breathtaking performance of the CBI climbing the walls was despicable.
Okay, let me go to Mahesh Jethmalani is with us. He's a senior lawyer. He's also appeared briefly for Indrani Mukherjee. That was a long time ago. He also was in the BJP. I'm not sure, Mr. Jethmalani, are you still in the BJP? But let me ask you, Mr. Jethmalani, that this defense of Mr. Chidambaram, we're not at the moment on the arrest and the modalities of the arrest and whether the arrest is justified or not. But the fact that as more and more evidence emerges of payments being made by INX and other companies into Karti's firms, this justification saying, look, I was not granting any special favors, it was a collective decision, does that hold?
No, I mean, it doesn't hold. Look, I don't, first of all, Vasu, as a lawyer, I don't want to prejudice and accuse, and particularly a colleague at the bar who's going to be facing a trial in the near future, I imagine. But the fact of the matter is that there's a pattern of activity here that it's not just INX Media and Peter Mukherjee and Indrani who have given a substantial contribution to one of a company controlled by Karti. It's a series of people seeking series of corporates seeking FIBP clearance for FDI, right? All of whom have made payments to one company or the other. There's a pattern of about 6-7 companies, and that hasn't really come out yet right now. INX was the first one.
Yes.
They got Indrani because she pieced together by oral evidence what was apparent in documentary evidence.
Yes.
So there was the FIBP clearance by Chidambaram, and there was a payment made to one of Karti's companies. Right. On the face of it, that's a conflict of interest and highly irregular and improper.
Right.
And also possibly attracts the Prevention of Corruption Act. What somebody like Indrani and other contributors, other promoters of other companies seeking FIB clearance, what they would probably be also saying is that we were actually asked by Karthi, for instance, that's what Indrani has said,
right,
that we were asked by Karthi, right, to make a payment in return for help from his father,
yes,
for getting FIBB clearance, for granting that FIB clearance.
So I want to ask you that.
So
I want to ask you.
That's the nature of the case.
Okay, I want to ask you, Mahesh Jethmalani, about the Indrani statement, or the purported Indrani statement, because you know, one of the sort of responses to that, and this has also been made by Mr. Chidambaram's lawyers in court, is that what is the credibility of somebody who's been charged with murdering her own daughter, who's making these statements in prison, perhaps to get some sort of sweetheart deal? What's the credibility of that allegation?
Well, I mean, you know, people may be wrong in one activity of life, but that doesn't mean, I mean, supposing tomorrow a murderer who's out on bail is eyewitness to a murder by somebody else, does his testimony get ruled out altogether? No, it doesn't. I mean, you can attack his credibility.
Right.
You can say you're a doubtful witness, you have a previous conviction,
yes,
right? Or you're out on bail, etc., etc.
Yes.
It may weigh with the weight to be attached. It may detract from the weight to be attached to the evidence. But it doesn't mean that the evidence is inadmissible or to be ex facie not believed.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, respond to that. That, you know, there's been this attempt to say Indrani is charged with murder, so there's no substance to it. But how do you respond to what Mahesh Jethmalani said? Just because you're a murderer doesn't mean that you can't be witness to a murder.
Vasu, we have to be extremely naive if we are going to just kind of treat that as just an ordinary or rather an extraordinary coincidence.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't think anybody is living in a fool's paradise here. The larger issue here is very simple.
I am living
that
in a fool's paradise
this
by your
issue,
definition.
this transactions that he's been accused of,
Sorry,
that's all right, Mahesh. Good luck to you. We are both living in Mumbai, so either we are in heaven or hell together. But the larger point I wish to make is
to Delhi, but
that this case, Vasu, is almost 12 years old.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, then he's probably worse off than I am. 12 years old case.
Yes.
Mr. Chidambaram at no point, and I'm aware of this because of the fact that even, you know, we have dealt with this for a long time in the public space.
Yes.
Mr. Chidambaram never obstructed with any part of the investigation.
Okay.
The question that anybody should ask is,
okay, that's
why did you need to arrest him when the gentleman concerned at no point refused to come?
Okay, that is
at
on
no
the
point did he
arrest.
say, I'm not willing to answer your question.
That is on the
that he was trying to abscond.
Okay.
He could have left the country months ago.
Okay, that is still Sanjay on the point of the arrest.
I am on the conspiratorial rubbish.
Okay, I am on the point about the allegations of quid pro quo. But let me just before I go to Geeta Bhatt, let me just play you a clip of what Abhishek Singhvi said earlier. I interviewed him a short while ago. This was about me asking him about the Indrani Mukherjee statement and their challenging of it in court. And this is Abhishek Singhvi essentially making the point Sanjay was saying, that is this harassment because Mr. Chidambaram seems to be confronted with essentially stale evidence. Let's listen. But Abhishek Singhvi, the CBI also said that they wanted Mr. Chidambaram's custody because they want to confront him with Indrani Mukherjee, who's emerged as a key player in this. It's apparently her testimony which has indicted Mr. Chidambaram. Are you worried?
Indrani Mukherjee gave a statement in January 2018. Subsequently, she has given no other statement. She became an approver later that year on the same old statement. Though she became later, but she became an approver on the same statement. Approver is a status, statement is the evidence. Now, after the January of 18, on 6th of June 18, the same CBI called Chidambaram and interrogated him, which means it has to interrogate him on the statement also. It has never called Chidambaram after that, not once. It has only now arrested him for on the ground of Indrani Mukherjee, which is not a single new development, only becoming an approver on the basis of the old statement. She's given no new evidence. So the question arises, why are you wanting arrest? I'm not on guilt. I'm not on innocence. Tomorrow in the trial he'll be acquitted, he'll be convicted. Good luck to him. But what is the imminence of arrest? What new thing has happened that you didn't need to call him for 1 year or 14 months and suddenly you need to call him on the specious plea of Indrani Mukherjee having become an approver Whereas Indrani Mukherjee's statement has not changed. It's the same statement for which you already acquitted him on 6th of June.
Geeta Bhatt, the point that Mr. Chidambaram's lawyers have been making is that Mr. Chidambaram is just being confronted with old evidence, whether it's Indrani Mukherjee or anybody else. Apparently, through all of today, while he was in their custody, he was asked 12 questions only, of which 10 were questions he's already asked and has answered. Hence the allegation that this is harassment, this is victimization, this is vendetta.
Well, Vasuji, if you remember, just I think 1.5 years back when the 2G scam judgment had come, at that time many opposition leaders, they were released at that time, Mr. A. Raja, and at the same, these same investigation agencies at that time were being hailed. Satyamev Jayate, truth always wins, and these kind of statements were coming out from the opposition leaders and the Congress leaders.
Right.
Now, just because the judgment has not come in the favor of Mr. P. Chidambaram, the same investigation agencies are being called that, they are playing in the hands of the government.
Right.
Isn't it a little strange? And look at the what the High Court's observation has been in the order. Please see, it has been very straightforwardly written.
Okay, let Sanjay respond to that.
The gravity of offence, this is very much evident from the case diaries.
Right.
And also, he's been called as the kingpin.
Okay, Sanjay, double standards
in the High Court order.
Right.
So we need to at least believe in what the
Sanjay, double standards. When it suits you, it's vindicated by court. When it's not, then it's vendetta. Quickly, yes.
Now, Vasu, let me tell you here. When we talk of political vendetta, we are talking about the prosecution. We are talking about the agencies of the state like the CBI, Income Tax Enforcement Directorate, which report to the Finance Ministry.
But Sanjay, the courts
of terror. That is the
courts
reality,
seem to be endorsing.
The
courts seem to be endorsing prima facie what the agencies have found. Hence the denial of bail. Hence the handing over of Mr. Chidambaram to custody.
I can only tell you.
Okay. Anyway, I'll come back to you. Sanjay, I'll come back to you.
Vasu, we are not casting aspersions on the judiciary, right? No, we are not casting aspersions on the judiciary, but we all know that the judiciary is only going to respond to what the prosecution presents.
Right.
So if the prosecution is presenting a distorted material, trying to malign an individual,
but then
those things will hold
how is the judiciary buying it?
We are very convinced that this will not survive a judicial scrutiny.
Vasu, I think Geeta Bhatt
will debate that and let it go into
bad
trial.
example when she referred to the 2G case. Because, the CBI did not cover itself with glory in that 2G case. Right. Everybody they arrested, put behind bars, who languished in jail for so many months were acquitted. So, it was a terrible, terrible record for the CBI, that it could not even prove that case.
Right.
So, how is Geeta Bhatt quoting that as an example? Honestly, it's something that the CBI should be ashamed of.
Okay, let me...
So
that may not be the best example.
Yeah,
okay,
it's not the best example.
Listen,
Vasu,
and Mr. Chidambaram was targeted in that case as well.
No, okay, but I think we need to separate two issues here.
Yeah, Geeta Bhatt, I'm coming to you. Geeta Bhatt, I'm coming to you. Geeta Bhatt, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
Everybody's mixing up two issues.
Vasuji,
One is, of course, whether
point.
Chidambaram had to be arrested or not. And frankly, I think that this is really a case of over-enthusiasm and overreach. He's been presented himself. He's been answering questions. And you could have confronted him with Indrani Mukherjee, without having to arrest him.
Sure.
The other is the case itself.
Yes.
And that is for, the CBI to present in court and for the court to pass a judgment on for that to take its course.
Okay, let me just...
we shouldn't mix up the two issues.
No, that's why I started with one and then moved to the other. So, Mahesh Jethmalani, on that point now, coming to the point of arrest, as a lawyer, do you accept the Congress argument that in this case, given Mr. Chidambaram's conduct, etc., 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 why the need to arrest?
Well, the CBI seems to have put many reasons forward and they've been accepted by the trial judge today and by the High Court tomorrow. Who are we to argue?
No, but are those legitimate reasons?
The need for custody...
the legitimate reasons saying non-cooperative...
This is a case of... no, it's not just non-cooperation. There are a lot of questions and a lot of documents and a lot of witnesses in this case which Mr. Chidambaram needs to be confronted with. I have no doubt over the next 5 days you will hear a lot about the kind of evidence that Mr. Chidambaram is going to be asked about.
Okay.
There is
why
nothing
can't
wrong.
those questions be asked?
He's already an accused person.
No, but why is arrest needed to ask those questions? Why not ask them?
That's a question.
As a matter of
course. In an ideal world.
Yes.
Vasu, in an ideal world,
yes.
Right? I would say that there should be no custodial interrogation. But the law on custodial interrogation in this country has been laid down. Every poor man, not so powerful man, middle class man, without Mr. Chidambaram's wherewithal, goes to. Do you know how many people have been to jail for custodial interrogation and not deserve to, and have subsequently been acquitted?
But those many wrongs, Mahesh Jethmalani, those many wrongs don't make a right.
No, I'm saying the fact of custodial interrogation were required, and one of the main factors for custodial interrogation and rejection of anticipatory bail is the gravity of the crime. If the crime is of a very grave nature, that's the first circumstance which allows you to take somebody into custody and interrogate him, because it has been held judicially, that custodial interrogation is a more effective method, minus violence, because I haven't heard of many cases of violence in the recent past, that custodial interrogation is a better atmosphere for the investigators to extract the truth from an accused person.
Okay, better atmosphere to extract the truth, I must say, sounds a bit, I'm not sure.
Can I ask Mr. Jethmalani a question? Robert Vadra was interrogated by the Enforcement Directorate. He was made to sit there for 14 hours or 12 hours or something like that. I mean, that's almost as good as custodial interrogation. Why couldn't they have done the same thing to Chidambaram without having to actually arrest him?
He actually says they did that with him. He says, I've come once before the CBI and 4 times before the ED. So I've been presenting myself.
And make him sit there for 14 hours and question him. Isn't that good enough?
Geeta Bhatt. Yes, now Geeta Bhatt respond. Yes. Yes, Geeta Bhatt.
Vasuji, it is in fact in the High Court order, the judge has said that he is the one who has asked that custodial, interrogation would be best, keeping in mind that the person's involvement, the person who's involved has been holding the highest chair. He was the minister in charge. This is what is there in the court order, and please also one has to remember, he has been, wasn't he given a bail in the Aircel Max's case? He was given a bail at that time, but here the court has very categorically said that for economic offences, even the parliament should go ahead and make amendments that pre-arrest bails should not be allowed at all. And
Sanjay
this is also a Supreme Court order also. He referred to a Supreme Court order
Sanjay
also.
Okay, fair enough. Sanjay Jha, the Mr. Chidambaram applied for bail, pre-arrest bail, the bail was rejected, the CBI arrested him.
Well, Vasu, as I think we have said it all through the day as well as yesterday, we will contest it in terms of whatever the legal processes and procedures are prevalent in our country. And we still believe that we have full confidence in the judiciary, and ultimately we will be triumphant in this case because it is fabricated, fictitious and forged. But the larger point that I wish to make here is this, that there is a political retribution. This is this a political gamble? You can imagine.
No, but Sanjay Jha, is this a mistake to have gambled so heavily? The entire Congress party, with all respect to you, you've been completely incommunicado since the election results. It's quite nice to have you on the show, frankly, because none of you have been coming. But it's all now surfaced on this instance, on the instance of Mr. Chidambaram. As they say, is this the hill to die on?
Vasu, let me tell you. Vasu, let me tell you this. I mean, all of us at various times have worked with Mr. Chidambaram. It's very easy for the Bharatiya Janata Party to target him and make him out to be, this corrupt individual who wanted to abscond, who was frightened of the ED, who locked his house and, forced the CBI to climb the wall.
That wasn't my question.
I mean, these are typical BJP optics. I think you are a seasoned journalist. You know that the BJP loves to create this whole theatrical grandstanding so that the audience
that wasn't my question.
Says,
I'm going to try and see, because I have literally 10 seconds. I'm going to try to take that to Aarti.
Everybody, nobody's above the law.
To have gone all in on this?
Well, they have taken a huge gamble. There's no question about it, Vasu, because, if...
So, good idea, bad idea, we have like 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they should have been more cautious.
Should have been more cautious. Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on Reality Check. We'll be back with more. Thanks for watching. Good night.